Right, so Unit 24, Assignment 2, part of the P6 criteria, you've got to make a flow chart. Now, a flow chart is really useful for a designer whenever they're making something, be it a control system, be it writing a program of some sort, to get a good idea of how that system or that program is going to run before they actually start making something. So, I'm going to need to think of an example of a flow chart I can do for you. Right, after thinking long and hard, I've decided to do a flowchart about running a bath. And with a flowchart, you use these symbols. So a rounded rectangle for starting and stopping a flowchart, a parallelogram for a process to be carried out, a rectangle for a delay, so that's if a timer is involved, so something, I guess, kind of pause for 5 seconds or so, and also a diamond shape for a decision. So basically asking a question like an if statement then, and you get 2 things coming from there, either no or yes. So for running a bath, well, for doing any kind of program, I'll always kind of start off with a start. And my first process is to turn the taps on. And that's a process, like I said, so it's a parallelogram. Now, I need to make sure that these are connected. So start has an arrow going to turn the tap on. So this is the flow of data where the name flowchart comes from then, in terms of step 1, step 2, and so on. So when once I've turned the tap on, now you might think the next thing I'm going to use is a delay, in terms of, well, I'll just walk off and leave the taps run water for 10 minutes. But really, we kind of always keep an eye on the bath to see if it's full or not. So rather than using a delay, I'm actually going to use a decision. So my decision is going to be, is the bath full? That's not a decision, it's actually a question. So is the bath full? Question mark. Put my diamond shape around it. I have an arrow coming down from the process of turning the taps on, and like it shows over here, it needs to be 2 outputs or 2 outcomes, either yes or no. Is the bath full? Yes. If the bath full, is the bath full? No. And we need to decide what's going to happen with those. So my bottom arrow is going to be yes. So if the bath is full, I'm then going to turn the taps off. And that needs to be taps at the top rather than tap. And there's my next process. So when the bath is full and we turn the taps off, we're then going to go down to stop, because that's the process or the flow chart completed for running a bath. However, we've got this little bit sticking out here, because if the question is asked, is the bath full, and it's not actually full, so no, well, what happens next? Now, I'm not going to turn anything back on because the taps are already on. I'm not going to turn anything off because the bath won't be full. So this basically just loops around back to this part here, and it keeps asking that question. So if I run this flow chart now then, so I turn the taps on, is the bath full? No. Is the bath full? No. Is the bath full? No. And I keep saying no, 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 until you're happy, until it is full. And when it is full, you follow the yes line, turn the taps off, and you stop. Now the issue is with this, it's a very basic flowchart, and this is one of the perfect things about a flowchart. You can identify errors as you're going along, and I really should have put the plug in, because the bath will never get full. If I've turned the taps on and the water's running, it's just going to run down the sinkhole. At the same time, there's other things on here. I might be asking the question, is the bath water too hot? If there is bath water too cold? So this is kind of my first draft as to kind of how that system's going to work, but then that's going to develop into something more like this. So if I actually run from the top for you with them. So I'm putting the plug in this time. I'm turning the cold tap on and the hot tap on. So not just generally taps, being specific. And then the flow comes down to, is the bath full? Now, if it is full, yes, it turns the taps off and stop. But if it isn't full, we check and see if the water is too hot. If it isn't too hot, we check and see if it's too cold. But if it's yes, the water is too hot, then we turn a hot tap down and it comes back around to this point of asking if it's full. And if it's too cold, we're turning the cold tap down, and that basically follows that line. So the idea is, depending on what the outcome is of the questions being asked, the decisions, will actually take you through a different kind of path through this flow chart. Now, ideally, at the end of this, we get to the point of we've got a full bath, which isn't too hot and isn't too cold. Now, I did initially look at this and think, well, this is job done. But more I look at it now, this is actually my second draft, because I haven't put anything in there about putting bubble, foam bath in, or whatever you call it. And at the same time, if I keep turning the hot tap down and turning the cold tap down, and I can't quite get the temperature right, I'm going to end up having a very kind of very slow flow of water coming from these taps. So it'll take ages for the bath to fill up. And secondly, I think that I haven't actually indicated how much I'm turning down by. So again, the whole point of doing these flowcharts is that it kind of develops and develops your understanding of a system before you actually get kind of hands in and start making something. So for your flowcharts, for your control systems, the ones you were designing, you might end up doing a few drafts, but you do need to have something which is quite complicated. So when you do actually start on Lego Mindstorms, you can just get stuck into it straight away.